Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of the Offseason. I'm your host, Angelo, and this is a podcast where we talk about Sandy Island. We talk about, mostly we use this as a chance for me and for anybody who wants to dig a little bit deeper into the Sandy Island community and get to know people from this place that we love. And today, I'm super excited with my guest. Her name is Ann Goutis, and Ann is an 8th week camper. Is that right, Ann?
Yep.
Ann
it's changed multiple times. So.
I was going to say, well, we'll be getting into that. Ann is an 8th week camper, and most interestingly and most helpfully to me is the chair of the Sandy Island Camper Committee. So does a lot of does so much work for the camp, both for me and for campers in the off season and all year long. And so I'm super grateful for her help there. But yeah, so Ann, I like to start with a question of what is your Sandy Island origin story? But for you, I want to be really careful with this question, just because I know you were, your maiden name is LaFleur. And I just know so many LaFleurs from Sandy Island. I imagine your dad and uncles, and then old friend of mine and current staff member Fran Gingras. I know the Gingras family. I think that they're related to you. So go ahead, tell me a little bit about your experience at Sandy Island, but also your family to the extent you know about it.
Yeah, so I was introduced to Sandy Island at the young age of 1 year old. It was my parents' first summer up there, and my parents heard about it because my dad is one of 5. Can't count. He has 5 siblings, so there's 6 of them in total. And my uncle Henry had been to the camp, I think back when, I can't even remember if it was when it was only men's camp but going way back, he had been to the camp. And my Aunt Claire also had gone up to the camp as well. She then went on later, when I got a little older, to be the craft shop manager.
Yep.
Everyone remembers Claire Gingras and the craft shop, and to me, like the glory years of the craft shop. And so we all went up, and my uncle Roger went up. My uncle Philip also had gone up, and my Aunt Hazel, my uncle Philip, his wife Mary ran the music program for a couple summers as well. She is like a folk singer and guitar, and she ran the music program for program. And many people probably know my family as the ones who paint a lot of the cabins. So my uncle Henry, prior to COVID, was still going up to the camp and working preseason, helping paint cabins.
He was up. So, I started as director just a little over a year ago now, January of 2021. So my first preseason was last year, and he was there, and he was helping. He painted. Those who were on the island this past summer may note that the whole lodge porch was redone, like construction, carpentry was redone, and then he was the one who did a lot of the painting there, and also did some work on cabins this preseason.
Yeah, so, yeah, and I think he's now 80 years old.
I was gonna say, he's an uncle of yours.
Yep, he's my uncle. Yep.
Is he the oldest of that group of siblings?
Yeah, he's the oldest, and then it's I can't remember if it's Hazel or Claire, and then my dad, my uncle Roger, and my uncle Philip. So gotcha. And at one point, everybody in the entire family was coming up week 7. So we started coming up, I believe it was week 6, and then we added on week 7, and then we got to the point where we felt like we were just waiting for the summer to get to the end so we could go up to Sandy, that we started going up week 2 as well. So there was a couple years that we were up at Sandy Island 3 weeks of the year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And loved it. My parents loved it. So many lifetime friends from Sandy Island.
Yeah.
And we stopped going up those weeks really. Week 2, I think we did that for about 3 years, and it was just with kids getting older and sports and other summer activities. It was too much to do the 3 weeks. So we were down to the 2 weeks pretty much through my high school days. And then I started working up at Sandy Island, and my sisters were, older than I am. My sister Emily had worked at Sandy Island too. She also was waterfront director, I think in 2003 maybe.
Okay.
She was the waterfront director. And I worked up on staff. I worked in the craft shop. I worked as a lifeguard. I also was the first female on the service crew when I think I worked up there for 5 summers. So I was like, I'm tired of being a lifeguard, and I can drive boats, so I can go do trash runs and pick up, groceries and all the food, and really, loved it. And I took a break when my parents stopped coming up because, we worked up there.
Yeah.
And they were basically just hanging out by themselves.
Yeah.
So we took a break. And then when I had my oldest son, we came up to visit some of my friends that I had made when I was on staff. Megan O'Connell, now married Megan Moore, is and was like a week 8, week 9 camper. We worked up together. So I came up for a day with my husband and our son just to go visit the island. And my husband had been up there a little bit when my sister was waterfront director and got to experience it, but not from a camper side.
Yeah.
And so, it was good for him to kind of get that perspective. And we decided we wanted to go back. My sister said, well, if you're going up, we'll go up. And then my parents said, well, if you guys are going up, we'll go up. So we actually put in for week 8, and a whole new week, but mainly because week 7 is impossible to get into with the Lowcraft and Ogtrop, DiStefano clans taking over all of the cabins on the island. So I was like, if we want to all go up, our best chance is week 8. And we know people that go up week 8. My friend Meg Hessian, who also worked on staff, goes up week 8.
And Meg Hessian, when I was a kid, when I was, a child going with my family to Sandy Island week 1 in the 80s, the Hessians were week 1 family.
Yep. And then Wally Long, Anna Young's son, is also a week 8 camper, and he worked up on staff with us as well. So we're like, we know some people and we know we love Sandy. So that's when we started going up. And so my youngest, Adam, was 1 year old for our first year going back to Sandy Island. So similar to how I was 1, he was 1. So just kind of a funny little coincidence there. But
and how old is he now?
He is 7 now. So
7. Okay.
Yeah. And it's just one of those funny things with Sandy Island. We got on the island and all the week 7 campers are coming off and we're coming on, and everyone's like, oh my God, you're back. And, seeing Naomi and Jonah Lopin, seeing the Shriners, the DiStefanos, just automatically that connection, the big smile, how are you doing? Like, want to catch up, just the friendly family atmosphere of Sandy. And then to make it even funnier is we get up there and one of the other campers, week 8, Ben Abbott, used to go, I don't know if he used to go week 6 or 7, but they were also now week 8 campers, and we didn't know that. And so remade that connection and remembering them. And the same with another week 8 camper, Jason Gale. They used to come up week 6 or week 7, and he recognized my dad. He's like, oh, Mr. LaFleur. And so it's just that family that's always with you, and everybody just remembers everyone, and those instant connections all come back. So it was great. It was kind of kismet in the return to Sandy Island.
That's awesome. So and when I first started thinking about doing this podcast, it was my hope that as I got to talk to people that I would learn things. And you and I have been working on the camper committee together now for a little bit, and I knew a little bit about your family. I know your sister Emily, and I think she, in her first round of working at Sandy Island, her and my younger brother Pete worked at the same time, like mid-90s.
Yep.
But anyway, my point is, even though so I'm never sure how much new information I'm going to get, but I just learned a few things. And I want to ask you about one of them. So you mentioned Wally Long as having worked at Sandy Island when you worked there.
Yep.
And so I didn't really know Wally previous to this year, but he came up 2 different weeks this past summer, 2021.
Which Wally Long? Because there are, I think, 4 Wally
Oh
Long.
my goodness. Okay, so maybe this is so you might be thinking, how old is the Wally Long you're thinking of?
He's younger than I am.
Okay, so I'm thinking of his dad then.
Yep, you're thinking of his dad. Yep, his parents go up week 4 and week 8, maybe.
That's it. Okay. So yeah, I'm thinking of his dad. So his dad, my path crossed with his dad because, when I took the job this summer and I said, oh, I'm going to be up there all summer long, there were a couple of little, I don't know, bucket list might be too big of a term, but like summer bucket list items. Like I said, if I'm going to be there all summer, like there's a few things that I want to check off. And the craft shop has never been actually a huge part of my personal Sandy Island experience, but this year I said, I'm going to do something in the craft shop. And the thing that I decided that I wanted to do was jewelry, silver making. And it was Wally Long, I guess, I don't know, senior, but the dad of your Wally, who he took me under his wing and he showed me how I made a ring, and it was all with his help. So that's interesting. So there are 4 though that you said?
I'd have to check what my Wally is. I thought he was Wally 3.
Okay.
But he has 2 sons. So Grayson is his youngest son, and Grayson's his older son, and Wally is his
and he's got it. Yeah, I got you. So, but there it is generational. Like it's
generational. Yeah. So the Wally I know is Wally Long 3. And so his son is Wally Long 4.
Got it. How about that? Got it. Cool. Okay. Well, so here's another question for you. With all of that history, working at Sandy, being a parent at Sandy, being a kid at Sandy, can you pick out a single kind of like most cherished Sandy Island memory?
Oh man,
That's hard.
That's a hard one, because I have, from growing up, I would say probably as like a younger camper, some of my favorite things was just the friendships I had in the group. So Caroline Bean, which she actually got married up at Sandy Island. I don't know what her maiden name is. I actually haven't met her husband, and my cousin Jenny LaFleur, and then the Shriner girls, because their mom Janet's like does the Cat's Pajamas. She's big into music. We used to always do a talent show. I mean, we made the talent show. The talent show now is nothing compared to the talent show when we were in it. But I think our group, we would like come up with plays and ideas, and they're all just new, different creative things that we would make and kind of work on during the week. And that to me is one of the things I always remember, from being a young camper, obviously working on staff, just so many great memories, because there's no better place to work in the summer than Sandy Island. If you can swing it, it's the best place to work. And I think probably one of my favorite memories is when I was on waterfront, and I used to be a good water skier, and we would do all sorts of different things. And I think George at one point was like, let's see if you guys can water ski behind the Big Sandy. And so me and another one of the lifeguards, we both got up and did 2 water skiers behind the Big Sandy.
Oh, wow.
Which was just a really cool experience.
Yeah. But it's funny, like that. I won't lie. Like water skiing is also among my favorite. Like me personally, I learned to water ski up there, and it became, it was really, anyways, a proud accomplishment of mine. So that's up there on the list for me too. And this year I thought to myself, you know, well, one of my goals for my job this year was to be able to drive the Big Sandy. And I did it about halfway through the summer. I got my certification, because it's a different certification now. Back in the day, you didn't need, it was just a commercial pilot license is a commercial pilot license. It didn't matter like what boat. It was the same. It was the same license for all. But now they have a different classification for boats over a certain size, and the Big Sandy is over that size. So so you take your written commercial pilot's license for any boat, and then needed to do a special one for the Big Sandy. So this past summer, about halfway through the summer, I forget exactly what week it was, I took you have to do a practical exam. Like Marine Patrol comes and they watch you, and you got to dock in the various places where it go, like so North Dock, Main Dock, North Woods. Anyway, once all that was done, I was like, I wonder if we could ski behind. I was actually thinking of it as like a fundraising thing, like either tubing or skiing behind the Big Sandy, like pay to do it.
That's a great fundraising thing, because it's like, for me, I'm like, I skied behind all the boats that summer. We just skied behind the Salty Dog, the Amos, the water ski boat, and the Big Sandy.
Yeah, it got shut down because our insurance on the boat doesn't cover towing skiers. So I got nixed on that idea. But back in the day,
don't check the insurance before. That must have been George's policy.
Yeah, right. Well, I think I'm sure it's gotten. I just know from like when I worked there back in the day compared to now, like there's all kinds of liability issues that have slowly crept up. Anyway, that's cool. That's a good one. And here's another question for you. So what is one thing that everybody else on Sandy Island seems to love that's just not your favorite? Do you have something like that? So like I can give you an example. So like for me, oh my God, I might get into trouble saying this. It's tie-dye. I don't particularly love tie-dye. Although I got over it a little bit this past year. But so for me, that would be my standard answer though. Like I'm kind of I'm kind of blown away that like how big that's become over the years, and how like it basically dominates an entire day. And so that's not my thing. That's not my favorite thing. People love it. Do you have one?
People do love tie-dye. And I will tell you, I like to do the tie-dye, and then I kind of keep it on my shelf and pack it for Sandy the next year. But I don't wear it much during the regular year. But even our week, yeah, it's big. Like people get up before the sun rises to rinse and wash their tie-dye to wear at breakfast, because it's, you know, that's their tradition.
Yeah.
But I do enjoy the act of tie-dyeing. For me, I don't know, I really love a lot of aspects of Sandy, but I would say one of the newer things that wasn't there when I was a camper that I just haven't gotten into is disc golf. My husband does it, and I just feel like I've never done it before, and that's probably part of it. Is part of me is like, I think I'm a competitive person. Like, it used to be week 7. It's a very competitive, intense week. The LaFleur family is very competitive and intense. I think I'd be good at it, so I don't really want to try it. And I think I'd get frustrated and mad. And to me, like, there's so many things at Sandy that I know I love, and my time there is so limited that I'd rather focus on those things.
Yeah.
You know, as a parent, my kids love the Gaga pit, and I just think it's just like a recipe for dirtiness and injuries. But if it keeps them out of my hair, then I'm okay with it. But
Yeah.
I would say those are things. I still love Foursquare. I love bocce. Like I like the water carnival. I haven't done a lot in the craft shop, but I used to work up there. And when I was a camper and my aunt was there, I would want to go to the teen adult time, even when I wasn't a teen or an adult, and she'd let me in if there weren't a lot of people. So I'll always have a fondness for the craft shop, even though I haven't made a lot of returns back there other than my annual tie-dye.
Gotcha. Cool. And so what about maybe we already talked about it, but like the single of all the Sandy Island activities, like what's your thing? Well, let's ask it this way. The boat pulls into main dock Saturday morning. You're getting off the boat. What do you do in the first? What's like one of the first things you do, aside from like going to check if your luggage was dropped in the water by the service crew or something like no, but like aside from like the basic logistical stuff, what's the first thing you do that like signifies the start to your Sandy Island vacation?
For me, because week 8, when we come up, we always go to North Dock.
Okay.
And
oh, right.
Actually, this year, I think we went to Main Dock. I think the water was high enough, but we had to leave from North Dock. But,
I actually yeah.
For me, it's really just going to the lodge area and like being at the waterfront. And that's when I feel like I'm at camp, when I'm at center of camp. And once I get there, I just feel like I can relax. Of course, on my way from North Dock, I go to my cabin, and usually our luggage is there because we're on the first boat, and I unpack the whole cabin before I can like take that breath. But to me, that's when I feel like I'm at Sandy, when I'm at the waterfront. You have all the different campers coming and going into the office to check stuff, getting linens. And it's just that mingling and reconnecting with everyone that I like a lot. And if I have to say the one thing, I usually try to be pretty relaxed about my activities at Sandy Island, but the one thing I always have to do, and I need to plan for, which you experienced this year, is my sisters and I always swim around the island.
Yeah.
And you got to plan on a calm day because no one wants to swim in the Whitecaps. And so this year, when we swam around, was when you did your swim around the island.
Yeah. We did it together, and that's the one and only time I did it this past summer. Which was a little embarrassing because I think I had it like as a camper, I did it like 3 or 4 times in a week, and then I was up there this whole summer, and I only did it once in the summer. But that's right.
You're a busy guy. It's hard to take the time to.
Anyway, yeah, that is a good one. And honestly, I've also gotten into in recent years with a group of people. Swimming over to Ragged Island and back. You need a spot. Obviously, you should have a spotter always, but it's a little like it's different in that you're now really swimming out into like where boats traffic and so forth.
Yeah, my sisters and I used to always do swim out to Cow and back. We would do 2.
Yeah,
but we're like, Cow, it's just like you can't stand really ever, and there's the boat traffic, and it's like, why don't we just nix that one? And we're getting old, let's try to like make sure if we get a cramp we can stand up.
That's a good point too. Yeah, no, we do it with obviously with a canoe or a kayak close by to try and be safe. But I love when you go across. I love when you're swimming and the water's deep, like you see the water, like
black.
You see the black beneath you. I kind of get a kick out of that. All right, Sandy dance. What's your favorite Sandy dance?
Oh, that's a hard one. I like the more obscure ones. Like I really like the bossa nova.
Yeah.
I like what's it, I'm going through the song lyrics in my head. Walk Right Back. That's Walk Right Back to Me. I don't know the name of that song.
Yeah, I know which one you mean too, and I can't.
But like those obscure ones, and like Tie a Yellow Ribbon, I really like because it took me a really long time to be able to do it.
Yeah,
it's very fast. And then like I would say those are probably my favorite. I I do love Leroy Brown just because the lyrics, I love the song. But like the YMCA, it's just like it's muscle memory. Like I could
Yeah.
just do it.
Yeah.
And I really, 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 really don't like Cotton Eye Joe. I
Oh, you
don't like
don't
the,
like it?
I don't like that. And like the cha-cha Cupid, whatever, the Cupid shuffle, all these like new ones where you're like in the lines and you like run back and forth.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Is that, I think that one's Poppin' an Oak.
Oh, Poppin' and Oak. Yeah, don't like that. And it's probably because with my kids, I haven't gone to many adult dances because like we have to get them back into
So it's
bed.
all the kid dance stuff.
So you don't get a lot of those like, and that's probably why like I like crave them more, like the kind of more obscure adult ones. But I'm thinking this year, now my kids are a little older, I can just abandon them at the cabin while they're sleeping and just let them know I'm at the lodge. And if they wake up, they won't freak out.
Yeah. So, okay. So your oldest is 7. Is that right?
Oldest is 9 now.
Oh,
Youngest is
9. Okay. So 9 and 7. Oh yeah. You're definitely right you're right
Yeah.
on the fringe of being able to
Escape.
get out again. Yeah. It's funny the way it works. Like, and I don't think like I think a lot of people know, a lot of return campers who return year after year to the same week, year after year, have a sense of the fact that different weeks sort of kind of have different personalities. Like you touched on it, like week 7 is a big family reunion for a lot of people, and it's a competitive week. And week 3 is a lot of staff from my generation that I was staff when I was young, like the late 80s and 90s. So a lot of the different weeks have different personalities. But what I discovered this year is that in addition to that, there's like a generational component to weeks. So for example, as I said, a lot of the people that I worked with in the 80s are week 3 people. And they're all more or less my age now, late 40s. And so there's this mass of kids that they have that are teenagers generally. Like my son Nico, who's 12, is like at the bottom age range. And at the top of the age range are kids who are starting to be on staff like last year and this year, like 16, 17, 18. And so, and then but it's the same, it's been the same people for 12 or 15 years. So all of those kids were like in Little Red Schoolhouse in 2003, 2004, yep. 2005, right? So and you see it in the camper lists, right? Like you see in the camper list, you'll see like, oh my God, this week has 30 kids in Little Red Schoolhouse and 4 juniors. And then the next week we'll have like this mass and junior program and not a, and so you get to, and it affects, believe it or not, it affects how, like what activities are popular in a given week. So if you've got a bunch of parents with a bunch of toddlers, the kids dance is super popular and the grown-up dance is a little bit quieter. And then as soon as those kids become teenagers, which is the case like right now, week 3, the kids dance isn't that popular and the adult dance is way more popular. And other things too, like tennis, all of that stuff, like what parents can do tracks to how much effort they have to put into taking care of their kids.
Yep, 100%. Yep, because our week we're now at the stage where Cave and Juniors is like 70 kids between the two of them. And like Little Red's pretty empty. But a couple of years ago, they were in Little Red and it was like, we have like 30 kids in Little Red Schoolhouse. Like, how are we going to manage this? You're like, I know, but 9 o'clock, see you later.
It's crazy. Like, and so it'll be, so those kids who are teenagers now, there'll be a lull probably like in 5 or 6 years, there'll be a week 3 lull. There'll be some new families coming in. And then those kids in 10 years will be starting their own. It's crazy. Anyway. Well, cool.
That's why there's waiting lists, Angelo. That's why there's waiting lists.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's right. And to that point, here we are as we sit here. Today is February 5th, 2022. And before we were recording this, I was actually on a meeting earlier with our registrar. And yeah, it's going to be a very full summer at camp. There was pent up demand last year after, the missed year of 2020. But boy, there was even more pent up demand this year. It's going to be a fun, full, vibrant, thriving camp this year.
Yeah.
But I just looked at the clock and a half hour has flown by. So this was fun, and thank you so much for doing this. And yeah, I think that's it. Me and you are going to be working together to get Sandy Palooza going this year, and that's totally happening. And people will be hearing about that soon. So you and I will be in touch soon. But everybody, thanks for listening in, and Ann, thank you for your time.
All right, perfect. Bye.